കേരളം ഒരു തിരഞ്ഞെടുപ്പിൻ്റെ ചൂടിലേക്ക് എത്തി നിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ കേരളം ഭരിക്കുന്ന LDF ഗവൺമെൻറ് ജനങ്ങളുടെ പിന്തുണ ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി ആവശ്യപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ട് ഒരു തിരഞ്ഞെടുപ്പ് പ്രചരണം അതിൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ഘട്ടത്തിലേക്ക് എത്തുമ്പോൾ കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് മാർക്സിസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ടിയുടെ ജനറൽ സെക്രട്ടറി ശ്രീ സീതാറാം യെച്ചൂരി ഇന്ന് ഈ തിരഞ്ഞെടുപ്പിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് കേരളത്തിൽ ഇന്ന് ഈ തിരഞ്ഞെടുപ്പിനെ വരുന്ന വിഷയങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ച് സംസാരിക്കാൻ നമ്മളോടൊപ്പം ചേരുന്നു. സ്വാഗതം ശ്രീ യെച്ചൂരി. You have toured Kerala, especially during this election. What has the people told you?
Well, I get a very distinct feeling that people are making history. And that history is that after nearly half a century, there is going to be a continuation of the incumbent government in Kerala, which is the LDF government. For various reasons, from what I could understand, for some one aspect appeals, for some another aspect appeals, but it's all been a positive thing. And that, I think, is what is going to happen.
What qualifies, according to you, this government to retain power and make a record in Kerala?
I think there are four factors. One has been the performance of the government during the last 5 years. Kerala state government is the only state government amongst all parties in the country which could fulfill the promises made in the last election manifesto to the people. Out of 600 targets they set for themselves, 580 have been fulfilled. The other 20 are in the process. This is a record. People appreciate that. Second thing is that this was achieved in the face of unprecedented natural disasters. Demonetization and the GST implementation ruined the whole country. Kerala was also part of it. But on top of that, you had your floods, you had your cyclone, and you had these devastation. And on top of that came the corona and the national lockdown and the migrant workers crisis and the whole gamut of things. So in spite of all these problems, the government steadfastly focused on improving people's welfare, providing relief. And all the Malayalis, I must appreciate one thing, irrespective of their political affiliation, in times of natural disasters, they all came together globally. And that is something that was remarkable that this government could achieve. Thirdly, all this happened also when you had a very hostile central government. For natural disasters, central government did not give what the Kerala government wanted for people's welfare, help, relief. And they even stopped foreign governments from providing relief to Kerala, while they were taking money from foreign sources. But for Kerala, they stopped. They denied Kerala the GST dues legitimate. They were creating problems in the functioning of the state government in violation of our constitution and federalism. In spite of this hostile atmosphere, Kerala could achieve what it could achieve in terms of service to the people. The government could achieve. Fourthly, and very importantly, on every issue of national importance, Kerala showed an alternative policy direction. CAA, the earliest of the state assemblies that rejected CAA and said no NPR in Kerala. In my state was Kerala. The others followed after that. Then, on the question of this farmers' agitation, repeal of these farm bills, Kerala Assembly took the position that these farm bills are not acceptable to Kerala. Agriculture is a state subject. State will have its own agrarian reforms. And Kerala is the only state giving for 16 vegetables a minimum support price. And take the other instance of the privatization, loot of our national wealth by the Modi government. As opposed to that, Kerala government took the position no state public sector undertaking will be privatized. And in fact converted 1/3 of the state PSUs from being loss-making into profit-making. So all these things, and this protected the jobs of lakhs of workers. Now all these things, there is an alternative approach. And that approach is in the interest of India and in the interest of Kerala and the people of Kerala. So these four factors, I think, are the main thing that are going into the people's understanding of re-electing this government.
According to what is the one issue which is weighing in the mind of the people as they proceed to vote this government back to power, to retain power, what would be that issue?
One issue, you're saying, difficult, it's a combination of issues, but one issue, if you're saying that issue is my welfare, my future, future of my children, their job opportunities, their security, etc., etc. This can happen, connected, this can happen only if the Indian Constitution and the secular democratic Republic of India is safeguarded. That only the LDF can do in Kerala.
Do you find the government of Kerala not facing an anti-incumbency? Or is it because the opposition has been completely weak in this state?
The government of, the LDF government is not facing any anti-incumbency. In fact, there is a pro-incumbency. And that is what is the reason for the weakening of the opposition. Opposition weakening is not causing in our favor. People being in our favor is causing the opposition to weaken. That is the way it's operating.
During your tour in the state during this election, didn't you come across any situation where a plethora of allegations have been raised against this government? And how did you find the people respond to it?
The people responded, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised. On each one of these allegations, they are, you see, the people, and particularly people in Kerala, are extremely conscious political voters. They see through a gimmick more easily than a politician does. They saw whether this is the issue of Sabarimala. When we tell them it is now before a 9-member judge, until that verdict comes, there is nothing that can be done. There can be no controversy on that. What happened is after that past thing, the Supreme Court said, refer this matter to a 9-member thing. So past is history now. So wait till that thing happens. People accept that very clearly. On the question of deep sea trawling, when I tell them I am the General Secretary of the CPI, we have taken CPIM as an all-India issue, not now. When I was in the Rajya Sabha, we opposed the permission that was being granted by the Manmohan Singh government then to the international trawlers to operate in Indian waters. And we stopped that. That is our commitment. So there cannot be anything the Kerala government can do against that. And the CM has clarified that this was no MOU was signed, no this thing, that officer who gave out that information action has been taken on it. So on every issue of diversion they want to create now, electoral rolls. Anybody in this country knows electoral rolls are prepared by the Election Commission of India. There's a procedure. Every year they announce a date by which time people can go and enroll if their name is not there. And then there's a date for people to raise objections on false enrollment. And after that they are examined and the final list is published. The ECI is looking into that matter if there's any allegation. Where does the state government come in? And at that time, when the times prescribed were given, why did the Congress not take up the issue? You know, people are smart. They realize all these are electoral gimmicks to divert attention.
The critics of this government say that this government has been getting into a coalition course with the center because it wants to divert attention from the allegations being raised against the government. Do you think that these allegations hold any water when it comes to the mind of the people of Kerala?
Firstly, it is not the Kerala government wanting a coalition course with the centre. It is the centre wanting that coalition in Kerala because their target is a political target. Left for them is their principal adversary. It doesn't matter to them what is our parliamentary strength, what is our strength in terms of parliamentary seats, etc. Though it's important. What matters, and correctly, what matters is the capacity of the left to mobilize the people into popular struggles on issues concerning livelihood, concerning our country's unity, integrity, which become part of the central agenda. And that capacity today only the left has as the most consistent upholder of secular democracy and secular democratic Indian Republic as defined by the Constitution. That is why they target us, central government.
When you mention secularism, Do you find secularism an issue in this election in Kerala particularly?
Of course. Because this is one state in India where anybody like me coming from outside, I'm never asked what is your religion. I'm treated as a human being. What my faith is, what my caste is, these are all secondary. And this is the culture of Kerala, developed after many, many years of struggle and cohabitation. And that people are very conscious to safeguard. That is being disrupted now. That is exactly what the communal forces do.
As General Secretary of the Communist Party of India Marxist, do you find the Congress not playing its role when it comes to protection of secularism and keeping the communal forces at bay?
In Kerala?
In Kerala or all over India?
Of course. Now you tell me one thing. Congress won the assembly elections in Karnataka. How is the BJP in government? Congress won the assembly elections in Madhya Pradesh. How is the BJP in government? Who will have to answer that? Don't people see this? You get elected, people support you because you are upholding secularism. Then you go and join the same party. Is there anything more for me to say? People are seeing all this, no?
If that is so, Rahul Gandhi has been on a visit in the campaign right now in Kerala. How do you assess what impact can that create? Because he is not making any political statements. He is going, in our language, he is on an offbeat story. So how do you think this is going to impact the elections in Kerala?
You see, no offbeat story can replace the central beat story.
Yeah, true.
The headlines are always the central beat story.
Yeah, that's right.
The offbeat can come as a soft story at the bottom of the page. Right. But the Congress has to decide whether it wants to be in the banner headline or it wants to be in the bottom of the page. That's up to them. So I'm sorry, I'm answering in your language.
So. That's fine. Perfectly okay. The Communist Party of India Marxist, which has been spearheading, as you claim, the fight against the communal forces all over the country. Recently, the Communist Party of India Marxist, particularly taking your name, Tamil Nadu Makkal Needhi Mayam leader, he has said that you have let him down because he wanted to have an political arrangement with you in this election.
See,
How do you respond to that?
Mr. Kamal Hassan is an old friend of mine. He tried contacting me. I tried contacting him in response. We exchanged messages. But the point at issue is that there is a political difference of approach. Today, in our opinion, the central task is to isolate and defeat the communal forces led by the BJP RSS. That is vital for India and for the Indian people and our future. That is our objective. Now, unfortunately, that was not their objective. In Tamil Nadu politics, though they may be merit in their argument, that in Tamil Nadu politics, you require an alternative to both the DMKs, AIDMK and the DMK. That is what they argue. But we said now, at this present juncture, the main task is to defeat the communal forces. So DMK-led alliance is the best suited for that. So that is the difference. It's a difference in a political approach. It's not got nothing to do with personal.
How do you explain, you see, you being at the top of the Communist Party of India Marxist as the General Secretary, you are on a divorced position with the Congress Party in Kerala, while you have developed a honeymoon in West Bengal.
No honeymoon.
How do you explain that to the people?
Very clear. We are saying anybody who is willing to fight the communal forces and to safeguard Indian Constitution, Indian Republic, and to work for the welfare of the people are most welcome to come together. It's a necessity to come together in today's conditions to achieve this objective. In Kerala, the Congress-led UDF is always in tandem with the BJP on every single issue. They are together. And today, which is worse in Kerala, I was in Guruvayur day before yesterday. Huge big meeting. It's a historic temple town of Guruvayur. No, who doesn't know in the whole of India? And BJP always contested that seat. Today they have no candidate. What will they do? They don't have candidate in 3 seats.
3 seats.
Where will they vote? Their own MLA, Mr. O. Rajagopal, very senior leader, he's gone on record saying that he won the Nevam constituency last time because of Congress support.
Even the figures showed the same.
Figures, of course, showed. We are saying, but now they themselves say.
Yeah.
So the question is, who is collaborating with whom? It's very obvious, no?
Obvious. The Chief Minister of Kerala, Comrade Pinarayi, he has been a comrade for the party and for the people. How do you evaluate in this election? He is being called the captain.
Well,
See, when people call him the captain, what I remember is captain, oh captain, oh my captain, How do you evaluate this evolution of Pinarayi Vijayan from a very strong party organizer to a decisive leader, a no-nonsense chief minister, taking on an opposition which is, raising a plethora of, allegations against him? How does the General Secretary look at this comrade getting that evolution to the captain?
Well, the General Secretary will always expect all my colleagues to get that evolution, because that is what links us with the people. And captain, let us go into the etymology of the word captain.
Yeah.
The captain in the ancient times of this marine trade, and where Kerala was the pioneer in terms of that, it goes back to some millennia of your trade over waters. So in that trade, the Kapitan, he was known as the Kapitan. The Kapitan was always the person who looked after everybody, irrespective of who they are, what they are, etc. The Kapitan was the one that you would go to ask for redress from any problem you have. The Kapitan was the one who was your benefactor as well as your leader. And I think by calling this word captain, it's not come from a modern terminology. The word may be modern, captain. But it's also come with that understanding in Kerala, that for centuries on, the people of Kerala have grown on the basis of marine, of trade over waters, and that Kapitan has come to symbolize. So people look up to him as the benefactor, in the sense that he look after my interest. If
the General Secretary feels that the term given to him is absolutely justified.
No, I mean, in the sense that it's the people's perception. I mean, it's not a question of a subjective opinion, whether it's justified or not. It's the people's opinion, and they have the right to opinion, and therefore he's leading this campaign. There's no doubt about it.
What is the scope for the left Congress combine in Bengal?
Well, at the moment, it is an alternative, and for the first time, the media is also recognizing that it's a three-cornered fight. It's not a binary between TNC and BJP. And that is a very positive indication, because it actually shows that the people of Kerala, people of Bengal, out of sheer desperation against the anti-incumbency, very deep anti-incumbency politics of terror, etc., that the Trinamool Congress government is doing, they saw no alternative last time in the parliament elections, and they voted for the BJP. This time that alternative is there.
How important is the election in Bengal and the retaining of power in Kerala for the left movement in this country?
Well, all elections are important, but these are very, very important in the present juncture.
Which way?
In the way that we are the principal focus of the hostility and target of the BJP RSS. At this time, being re-elected by the people of Kerala, and with our voting percentage increasing and being received better in Bengal, is a direct rebuff to the efforts being made by the communal forces to isolate us and defeat us. So that way, it is very significant.
The opposition in Kerala, particularly the BJP, although they have only one seat, they claim that they have a great scope in this election. They will increase the vote share. How does the General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, Marxist, after having toured the breadth and length of Kerala, how do you view this claim?
Well, how I view this is the BJP does not believe in democratic elections. It is seeking to reduce election to also a commercial dealing. That is exactly using its money power it keeps buying up MLAs and MPs belonging to the other parties. I mean, its leaders, if you just look at all the leaders, none of them are the ones at the state level. None of them are the ones that are organically BJP RSS. They're all plants from outside. So they think that by using their money power, they can change people's verdict. So one seat they have now. Their leader said that give me 35 seats, BJP. I'll form the government. Now everybody in Kerala knows that to form the government, you require 70 plus seats. Now with 35, how are they confident? Like they're confident in Madhya Pradesh, they were confident in Karnataka. They think these Congress MLAs who come and elected, they can buy them over. More than 50% of the MLAs that join the BJP in the country are from the Congress party. So that is the track record for the Congress to answer.
In this country, we have noticed that people who leave the Congress join the BJP. In Kerala, you find politicians leaving different parties, they join the LDF. Why does this happen?
Well, it depends on what is your approach. If you want to save India, save it from the communal forces, save our constitution, then you join us. If you want to only make money and reduce politics into a commercial business, then join them. So that is the choice. It's up to them who are coming and joining, where they want to go and join.
Is the left the actual spirit behind the farmers' movement?
Well, I won't say the spirit behind the farmers' movement, because much of the farmers' movement has also been very spontaneous and very organic to their life, for the farmers' life. But the left has been an important role, because you see, in Punjab, please remember, Punjab those days meant Haryana, today's Haryana, large sections of today's, the state of Rajasthan and the other parts. From Peshawar to Rohtak was the Punjab.
Yeah, true.
And the Punjab peasant struggles, and the Communist Party was very strong in that united Punjab at that time. Pretty strong. I have a very, very strong tradition. For a century and more. I mean, in fact, only last year, that the first of the biggest peasant movement against the British the laws was launched. It's called the Pagadi Sambhalo Jata. And it was launched a century ago. And that mobilized the entire peasantry. You see, when people get mobilized, it's not that because there's only one flag that is mobilizing them. They get mobilized on the basis of their issues. And which is the flag that is championing those issues? There is the left.
Given the Narendra Modi government's attitudes and response to this farmers' movement, where does this farmers' movement go from here?
Narendra Modi, the tactics that they employ always is to tire out the movement. Let the movement exhaust itself. That's what they tried with the anti-CAA movement. Luckily for them, unluckily for the country, unluckily for the world, for everybody, Corona came. But it was politically lucky for them.
Yeah.
That's it. Now in this, they're hoping that after Holi, which is tomorrow in North India, the weather shifts and the cultivation process begins. They are hoping that after this, the farmers will go back. But that's not going to happen, let me tell you.
I know you are in a hurry to go.
Yes.
My final question. Can the politician named Sitaram Yechury and the General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, Marxist, tell the people of Kerala, what's going to be figure of the LDF in this election?
Figure?
And also for Bengal.
Figures is not something that the communists will engage in. We are not astrologers.
Yeah.
Even astrologers can't give figures, but often they pretend.
But often people like you are better than astrologers when it comes to elections.
No, but that is too early to give any figure, put any figure. Fact remains that it is our, support to us is growing.
Growing.
And how it will grow, because it all depends on various other factors. You talk about Bengal. Now, how much of this support will be converted into vote? Yesterday was the first phase of polling. Lots of violence that took place, where many places are people who are not allowed to go to cast their votes. And there, both BJP and the Trinamool Congress play in tandem. Both don't want the left votes to be cast.
The post-election scenario in Bengal, what is your role?
Well, our major role and the principal role is to stop BJP from forming the government. And that is our role. But what will be the role of the TMC, you will have to ask them. Because Mamata Banerjee has had a track record for the last 20 years of being with the BJP. She was the cabinet minister with the BJP. She had political alliances with the BJP in various elections in Bengal. So in case such situation comes where she requires to take the support, I think she will not hesitate to take BJP support again.
Does Mamata remain untouchable for the CPI and the Congress?
Not untouchable. She is making herself untouchable by all sorts of, the politics of terror that she's launched and continues even what we have seen yesterday.
Coming back to Kerala and ending it, how does this government of Comrade Pinarayi Vijayan, how is it different from other LDF governments that have gone ahead in the past?
Well, LDF government, I won't say you can't compare it like that. Because as a Marxist, as a communist, I can say that we believe in the principle of concrete analysis of concrete conditions. The conditions that existed when Comrade EMS led the first communist government are entirely different from the conditions that exist today. So if you compare saying which is better, that government or this government, you cannot compare. So you cannot compare different situations.
But you believe that it is an extension of the people's welfare and the commitment to the masses that is going on in Kerala?
It is an extension, definitely, those two aspects, but it is more importantly and also extension that we have a vision of an alternative approach to save India, to save secular democratic republic, which is, essential for Kerala, for its prosperity and for its growth.
So Kerala government, you say, has been an effective alternative in governance in this country?
Yes, definitely. It has shown a different direction and a positive direction.
Thank you, Mr. Yechury.
Thank you.
Great meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.